Welcome everybody out to podcast number 499. Today we're going to do the second part of the topic about logistics. Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well. We're going to talk specifically about part 2 for logistics. The rules that apply to logistics is going to be a great podcast. Please stay with us. Let me give you some feedback from our fans. This one says the Elevate Construction website is a game changer. It contains a wealth of information that will help revolutionize how construction projects are delivered. I really appreciate that. We spend a lot of time there. The website's nowhere near where we want it, but we're continually funneling things in that direction and attempting to do as good of a job as we possibly can. So on the last podcast, we talked about strategy, tactics, and logistics. We talked about reducing transportation and movement, doing just-in-time material deliveries, interfaces and stacking, how if you don't let workers smoke, eat, or go to the restroom, then they will cause problems on your project, and that we really need to tell people where to go, make it look like airport signage, and get workers access to specific areas. This is really the gist of what we should be doing logistically on our project sites. And today we're going to cover some more of these topics in order, in sequence. And these rules really, you should be able to implement on your project and write them down as a list and make sure that you're taking them into consideration. Meaning it's kind of like, so logistics aren't just where are the bathrooms, where are the trash chutes, where are the trailers, where are these things? It's not just where, but what are we doing to design them as a system? So let's go ahead and go right into that here today. The first one that I want to talk about is breaking the project down into bite-sized areas. So this seems like a very, commonsensical maybe. What's the word I'm looking for? Meaning like people should just naturally know this. I totally get that, but we often don't do that. We don't do it in scheduling. We don't do it in construction. We don't do it in logistics. We don't break things down into their specific areas well enough and detailed enough. We might say, okay, here's staging, but where's the staging by zone, or where's the staging by company? Or we might say this is an access way, but it's where's the access way specifically for the forklift? Where are the access lanes specifically for the trucks? Where are the access ways specifically for the cranes going back and forth? Like you see what I'm talking about. This is our trailer area. Okay, fine. I agree that that's your trailer area, but where are the people going within that trailer area? What company specifically is going where? I get that this is your subcontractor or connex area, but what contractors go in what specific area? We need to break the project down into bite-sized areas. When we do that, then we can do motion studies and make sure that people are positioned where they're supposed to be, and we can reduce conflict, reduce motion, and reduce transportation. So that was number 9. Number 10, your supply lines. Your supply lines are crucial. I've said this in a previous podcast, but your supply lines are something that should be absolutely managed. And it should be one of the main focuses of the senior superintendent. What I mean by that is, how are we going to get materials to the workers? Most of the time, it's not about the productivity of the actual workers. It's about, can we get materials to the workers so that they can put it in place? Remember, if we can get it here, we can build it. So production isn't always just, can we get workers to work? It's a lot of times, can we get materials to workers to work? Ooh, I like that. Can we get materials to workers to work? And actually let me finish this one up. These all tie together, so I'm really excited about them. So really, your supply lines, why not have them mapped out on your logistics drawings? Why not have them mapped out on the floor? Why not actually spray paint or tape down where your supply lines are and where you want things staged? You want those clear, you want them full, and you need to know where your bottleneck is along those supply lines, right? If it's your forklift, we need to know that. If it's your crane, we need to know that. If it's the hoist, we need to know that. And wherever your bottleneck is, that bottleneck should be busy all the time. because that bottleneck is crucial to getting materials to where they go. So you have to map out, know where your supply lines are, and help everybody else to know that. And if there's a crucial bottleneck along that and it has to stay busy, right, then you need to keep it busy, and everybody on the project site needs to know that. Like, for instance, in the Schroeder family house, the bathrooms are the bottleneck from a logistical standpoint. As soon as we finish nightly prayer and everybody heads in a different direction, I got 10 kids waiting to use the bathroom. And I'm like, and I'm not being irreverent, I'm just telling you, I'm like, kids, don't go, let everybody brush their teeth and go number one or wash their hands before anybody goes number two. There's a sequence here. We can't have somebody in there for 10 minutes when we got a line of people outside the bathroom. Now, really, I need to start making enough money with business to where I can buy a new house. But until then, the bathroom is our bottleneck. So we know our supply lines. We know what the bottleneck is. And I'm like, oh, the bathroom's empty. Somebody needs to get in there and get ready. Bathroom's empty. That bathroom should never be empty because that's our bottleneck, right? So I really think that's kind of funny. Where was I going with this? Okay. Hold on a minute. Let's do this. Oh, this was the second topic. Okay. I was on a roll and then I finished the topic. When I go to project sites, and this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. When I go to project sites in the mornings, I see workers mobilizing materials. And I see it. Hold on. My daughter stole into the office here and I'm trying to entertain her while I finish the podcast. But anyway, I went to a project site the other day, $150 million project. It was out in the Midwest, and I was walking around, and literally for the first hour, there were people mobilizing materials. Sometimes people just moving one stick of materials around, and then the rest of the crew is just sitting there and waiting. This is ridiculous. This happens everywhere we go. From a logistical standpoint, workers should arrive, yes, with the materials. I said yes to my daughter, sorry. But anyway, workers should arrive with the materials where they're supposed to go. Workers should arrive with the materials where they're supposed to go. They shouldn't be on treasure hunts, mobilizing materials, trying to figure out what's going on that morning while the rest of the crew is standing around. This is madness, everybody. We are wasting tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, probably billions of dollars throughout our industry by not doing this right. Why are the materials not staged the night before? Why are the materials not staged at the end of the other shift? Why are the materials not ready there with the foreman? This is an abdication of leadership. Your workers, if they have not started after their 25-minute huddle, crew preparation huddle, and actually started installing work with the materials that are there, then you are doing something wrong. You cannot have them mobilize materials that morning. That's when they're the most productive, the most alert, the most safe. They should be doing their work. And then when everybody's tired and when everybody's like not mentally with enough mental discipline, they should be doing cleanup. They should be doing staging. They should be doing mobilizing materials to set up for the next day when we really need them on point and focused. This is absolutely madness to me. Like, we have to get this fixed. So supplying materials is not the same as doing work. If you're doing that morning, I'm going to say something offensive here. I don't know that the foreman that does this knows what they're doing. Like, this just cannot happen. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay. So production flow applies to material mobilization, meaning that if you want to be productive, you have to have your materials there. You know, in some other countries, they have a separate logistics company that just mobilizes materials and the workers do the work, right? That's how this should go. Workers should be able to start their day ready to go with the materials they need. Otherwise, we're just wasting time. Okay, another concept that I really want to talk about is that we have to guard our bridges. Using a military example, the bridges are our key interfaces. They bridge things, right? And so our bridges on a construction project are the forklift, the crane, the hoist, anything that helps stage materials, right? So if you have a queuing area, a dock, a forklift, a hoist, a crane, whatever, those are as crucial to construction as holding a bridge was to the military generals of old. We have to hold those and keep them stable and keep them protected. So here's what I mean. Your forklift operator should be deputized, and they should know where everything goes and when it should happen. There should be a delivery schedule, and that forklift operator should have direct orders as those senior project superintendents, direct assistant on how things will be staged so that nothing ever goes to the wrong location at the wrong time. Number 2, a hoist operator should be a deputized assistant to the senior project superintendent, to where nothing gets mobilized into that building that wasn't staged and that wasn't scheduled at that time, and that pallets are color coded, and that there's nothing being staged on a floor that wasn't supposed to be there, and that only prefabricated items are coming up that hoist unless otherwise approved. So that hoist is a crucial interface. It's a crucial bridge, and that hoist operator has to stand his ground and hold the line. The crane operator is the same thing. Everybody who operates a logistical transition, our bridges on a project site, are crucial. We have to make sure that those are going well. Okay, so the other one is, let's go through a couple other ones. So the one that I just covered was guard the bridges, right? Another one that I want to communicate that's a crucial interface on the project is public protection. When you talk to the best general superintendents, field directors, project directors, general builders in the industry, they'll say, always make sure that you have your public protection, your fence, your screen, your walkways, your crosswalks, your K-rails, anything that deals, your signage, anything that helps with the wayfinding and protection of the pedestrians and the customers, not just, or your neighbor customers, not just to like do your duty, but to make it easier on them, right? If it's like, let's go ahead and shut down this road, which is going to make this business, walk 2 or 3 blocks extra to go to their parking lot. Well, we wouldn't make that decision. We would minimize that closure instead of just saying, oh, forget it, they can deal with it, right? We really need to take care of public protection and the public experience, and make sure that our neighbors and the people around us are really taken care of. Okay. Let's talk about a couple of other concepts here. And these are a little bit disconnected because they're all separate. They're separate rules. But when we're talking about shoring cranes, hoists, and things like that, I don't know if you were like me when I was first in the industry, where you're like, ooh, this is intimidating. There's so many, there's so many builders out there that know so many. They can rattle off the crane sizes. They can rattle off, the shoring systems. They're experts on this. You don't have to worry about that, because all you have to know is the options. So if you need to design a shoring system, or get cranes in, or hoists, or whatever logistical system, scaffolding, for instance, you go find the best expert that you can find, and you get them to present all the options, and you ask all the questions, and you get the right answer. So shoring, cranes, and hoists, it's all about the options. It's all about the questions. That's rule number 15. Okay, let's go. There should be a plan A, B, C, or D on your project site. So when you get that plan, when you get that access way, when you get that crane, when you get the shoring system, when you get the hoist, when you get the scaffolding, you have to know what your options are, and not just know what your options are, but also have a plan A, B, C, or D. So if this happens, I go to plan B. If this happens, I go to plan C. If this happens, I go to plan D. You get my plan, my point here. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. On a project one time, we were designing shoring, and we wanted to install the windows before the masonry, and this was going to work out to seal in the building. Kind of risky, because you can damage the windows, but we did some options, and we worked out 2 plans. How would we finish the project in one scenario where we did the windows later? How would we protect the inside and finish the interiors? And here's what we would do with scaffolding and all of our other logistical plans if we installed the windows first. If we install the windows first, we have to have these pop-outs that are cantilevered, that they don't span into the floor. If we do that, we have to have a way to cover the windows. If we do that, we have to have a way to fix the windows and to warranty the windows, right? So we can't go into a construction project and assume something and not know 100% that we can implement plan A. We have to know, if plan A doesn't work, this is plan B, and that plan A and B both fit into the schedule and both fit into the budget. So that's my point with that. That's rule number 16. Okay, the next one, and it ties in with some of the previous concepts, is that everything is scheduled. Even if you have an open project site, I want deliveries, I want hoists, I want cranes, I want forklifts, I want everything scheduled and know where everything's supposed to be. You can't just have this willy-nilly on the project site, meaning it can't just happen by happenstance. If you're letting people schedule the times of their deliveries without you, then they're staging them in locations without you. And when they're staging them in locations without you, then you have absolute chaos on the project site. So everything must be scheduled. All right, here's another one. The entryway. The entryway is probably the single most important area on your project site. It must be clean, safe, and organized. If it's not, then everybody will take that as a cue and take permission to treat the project the way that you've shown them is acceptable through the entryway. Your entryway has to be 100% on point, ready to go. It has to be an example of how you want to everybody else to treat your project, 100%. Here's another concept. You must have a 10th man on the project during pre-construction when it comes to logistics. Meaning a 10th man is if all 10 people on a team agree unanimously on a plan, there has to be someone, the 10th man, who takes the opposing position and assumes things will go wrong. When you are planning your project logistics, you have to have a 10th man in the room looking at your project. You have to have somebody looking at why it won't work. Because when we talk about reducing transportation movement, your material staging, your smoking areas, your wayfinding signage, your supply lines, your supply chains, how you're going to create flow, your key interfaces, how you're going to manage those interfaces, shoring, cranes, hoists, your plan A, B, C, D, your entryway, all of your planning. If you don't have somebody tearing that apart, then you're not going to have the best plan. In fact, I met somebody the other day that I used to work with that was teasing me a little bit. He was like, we didn't call you Schroeder. When you would leave the room, we would call you Shredder. And I'm like, what? Is that like a Ninja Turtles reference or something? He was like, no, every time you come into a meeting, in a nice way, obviously, but you would shred their plans and tear them apart. And I'm like, well, I hope you have somebody doing that for you now because you're going to end up with a better solution. So they used to call me Shredder, and I thought that was a really nice compliment. Nobody's ever said anything nicer to me in my life. And so that gets us to concept number 20. I want to close out by saying this. If you can get materials there, you can build it. If you can get information there, you can build it right. If you can get people there, you can build it on time. All logistical considerations are first created spiritually, and then they're created temporally. Just like a building. We create it spiritually with plans, and then we build it in the building. Just like the earth. God created the earth spiritually and then created it temporally. Everything is a spiritual and a temporal creation. You should have a complete logistics system designed 100% of pre-construction before you ever step foot on the project. And you're not just going to have one logistics drawing. In fact, most projects I recommend 5, right? You're going to have your make ready and mobilization logistics. You're going to have your concrete logistics. You're going to have your exterior and interior logistics. You are going to have your closeout site work logistics plan. You're going to have your wayfinding signage and general logistics drawing. And then you're going to have your safety specific logistics drawing that may be looped into the other one that I just mentioned. But at a minimum, you'll end up with 5. If you don't have 5 completely separate detailed drawings for logistics, I promise you it's not detailed enough. And I'm not criticizing, I'm attempting to help. So I really hope you've enjoyed this list, these rules, so that you can go implement better on your project. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.